changing your reality because, changing your perception is in essence changing your reality because your reality is often based on your perception. And it opens up the dialogue of realizing that your perception is not the only view in which you can look at a situation. And I find the broader you are in the way you see a thing, the more effective you are at handling the thing. The reason most people get into so much trouble is that they think that the way they see it is the only way to see it. So whether you're talking about a marriage or whether you're talking about a business or whether you're talking about a piece of property or whether you're talking about staff development or whether you're talking about sales, it doesn't matter what you're talking about. The more you are able to transform your perception and see other people's perspectives, the more effective you are at whatever you do. Have you ever seen the first rule is break the rule? Creative people are people who break rules. When I came to Dallas and I started pastoring in Dallas and I set this church up and started preaching in this church and I had 1,500 people to join the first Sunday and within a year I was up to 10,000 members and people in the city came out and told me, you can't do that in Dallas. And I said, I didn't know it. And as long as you don't know it, you can do it. But the moment you start knowing what you can't do and what you can't have and what you can't be, that's the moment you are incarcerated to the rules around you. I can't tell you how many pastors tell me, oh, you don't know the spirit of Chicago. You don't know the spirit over here. You don't know New York. You don't know. Anytime you hear people telling you what you don't know, they have bought into the rules and they live within the limits. But if you have got the color, I know your first grade teacher's going to hate me for this, but you got to color outside the lines. You got to be prepared to break some rules. You got to be ready to go where other people haven't gone before. You got to be willing to do something that looks wild, that looks crazy, that looks different. You must be a rule breaker. And I hate to shock you, you cannot be a trendsetter if you're always traceable. You got to be somebody creative enough to break the rules. And just look at that and tell me, a centerpiece, somebody said a vase, somebody said a face, two faces. You sure it's not a vase? How many see a vase? How many see two faces? Oh. How many of you, as you continue to stare at it, you see both? If you continue to stare at your life, what else would you see in it? If you continue to stare at your life, what else would you see in it? If you continue to stare at your child, what else would you see in him? If you continue to stare at your wife, what else would you see in her? If you continue to stare at your finances, what else would you see in it? If you continue to stare at your talent, what else would you see in it? If you continue to stare at your church, what else would you see in it that you haven't seen before? Because I want to tell you right now, somebody else could take your hand and win with it. Somebody else could play the cards you've been dealt with, and they could win with your hand. What do they see in your hand that you don't see? And more importantly, what do they see in you that you don't see in yourself? Because sometimes people have more confidence in you than you have in yourself. Isn't it terrible that you let them see more in you than you see in you? You can meet somebody who loves you more than you love yourself, and you won't receive the love on the level they want to give it because they perceive your value more than you perceive your value. You will sabotage the relationship because you don't feel worthy of being loved like that. And some kind of way you just don't believe them. You just don't believe them. Or maybe you keep giving them things instead of giving them you, because you think the things you give are more valuable than who you are. You need to change your perception. Your perception. And to all of you who got his or her money and lost them, my money is the cheapest part of me. It is the trash of who I am. You must remember, I made the money. The money didn't make me. So, if all you got from me is the cash, you can have the cash because the cash can't make me. As long as I got me, I can. I wish somebody heard the words that just came out of my